Welcome back to AU Hoop Talk, as we're now joined by a familiar face and friend of the program, David Aldridge, of course, an alum, NBA on TNT, among many other things that you do.
Yeah.
Your face is on video games,
Stunning.
omnipresent.
It's very stunning to me at this advanced age.
We've made ourselves to section 107 as we're celebrating the 10th year anniversary of the Eagles' first berth to the NCAA Tournament, and the importance of section 107 is pretty special to you. Why?
All right, so there's a backstory to this.
Okay.
Okay, so in 2003, we played Holy Cross in the Patriot League championship game. It was our first year in the Patriot League. And the building was sold out. It was a raucous, just incredible crowd. I sat in 105, and we lost. To this day, I've never sat in 105 since.
Makes sense.
I will never sit in 105 again because I blame myself for that loss. So when it got to 2007, at that time, my wife and I, our kids were very young. I think our oldest was 3, and our younger boy was probably a newborn. He was probably 6 months old, maybe 6 months old at the time. So anyway, when you have kids that young, especially the 3-year-old, they're not going to sit. So they have to get up and move around. So the easiest way to kind of keep them from running onto the floor, you have to let them run up and down the steps, because that's what they like to do. They have fun running up and down the steps. So we said, okay, well, we got to get bleacher seats then. So we got bleacher seats in 107. So end of the regular season, we are, I think, a game behind Navy or 2 games behind Navy. The net is, okay, we're not going to be the first seed, but maybe we'll be the number 2 seed. So we wind up winning our last 4 or 5 games of the regular season, each in very dramatic fashion, including an incredible run over Holy Cross here. And we caught Navy the last day of the regular season and passed them. We wound up being number 1 seed. So I said, okay, I can't. We have to stay in these seats because now we're the number 1 seed.
A little superstition going on. Yeah.
A little bit of superstition. So it winds up we're the 1 seed, and Holy Cross, who's our arch rival at the time, is the 8 seed. So for the first tournament game, it was sold out. I couldn't get 107 tickets. We sat on the other side. We sat in 120. That game, we should have lost that game. We should have lost to an 8 seed. They outplayed us most of the game. Gilmore makes this amazing he has this amazing 3-point play with like 14 seconds left. Their kid who's on the line, who shoots like 88 from the line, misses 2 free throws. And we survive. That's survive in advance. That's the survive part. So I say we are never not sitting in 107 again. So semifinals, we sit in 107. We win. Finals against Colgate, we're sitting in 107, and that's a rock fight. It's both teams, nervous. So we haven't been to the tournament. We've never been to the tournament. Everybody in the building knows we've never been to the tournament. The kids know. The coaches know. We know. And so the pressure was just enormous. It's the most nervous I've ever been in my life.
Ever. More than on your wedding day. More. Okay.
Birth of our children. NBA Finals Game 7.
Okay.
Yeah. Right here, Colgate, 2008. I was the most nervous I've ever been in my life. I was just walking around in a daze the whole day, the whole morning. So the game starts, and it's like I said, it's a rock fight. It's every possession is life and death. And what was the score at halftime? Like 20-19, something like that. I mean, it was just like everybody feels the pressure of this moment, because we know, okay, we were number 1 seed at home, and we lost to Cross here. We have not been to the tournament in 45 years. There's less than 10 schools in the country who haven't gone to the tournament yet, and we're one of them. And we got to end this, because it's like a weight on the whole program. And so it's back and forth the whole game, and every basket is just huge. Garrison hits this monster 3 midway through the second half when we were kind of running in mud. We were down by like 3 or 4, but it felt like we were down 12. And he hits a 3, and the building it lets out a little emotion. And so the last 6-7 minutes, it's a 2-point game. I mean, it's excruciating, And it's a bunch of stops. Nobody's really scoring very much. And we're down, I'm pretty sure we were down with like 3 minutes to go. So I think Mercer hits Borden on kind of like a pick and roll that Borden slips and he hits it to him and he hits a layup or something with like 2 minutes to go and it puts us up one. So now the place is insane, but terrified at the same time. Like we're up one, we're 2 minutes from the tournament. And it's back and forth. We get a stop. We have the ball with a 1-point lead. Carr misses a three, but I think it was Gilmore again. Gilmore goes flying out of bounds. He throws the ball back in bounds. Mercer catches it, goes to the basket, gets fouled with like a minute 10 left, a minute and a half left. And Derek hadn't played well in that game at all. He had missed a bunch of shots because like everybody else was terrified, nervous. And I think he splits two, and I think we're up two with a minute to go. I think we're up two. And the last minute of the game is just, I'm sweating. Everybody's sweating. The last minute is just excruciating because they come down. They had this kid, Kyle Romer, who was a really good player, his first team. And he was a sixth-year senior because he had gotten hurt a couple times. So, but he had been there forever and made a bunch of big shots for them. So everybody's like, get on Romer. Do not let Romer beat us. Nobody but Kyle Romer. And so they come off. He comes off a screen. They get him the ball. And if I think I got the sequencing right on this. He moves the ball. The guy out front has the ball. I can't remember his name. And again, Gilmore's the most important player on the team. Gilmore ties the kid up, gets a jump ball. We get the alternate possessions. Now we have the ball. They have to start fouling. They foul Mercer, and he makes two after having a terrible game. He goes swish, swish, because that's what upperclassmen do. They make shots at the end of the game. Now we're up four, I think. And so, but again, you're still thinking, what's going to go wrong? What's going to go wrong? They're going to hit like a 5-pointer and beat it somehow. And it was just maddening. But they really buckled down the last minute. I don't think Colgate scored the last minute. And
well, let's go ahead and, from the emotional standpoint of the last few seconds or so of the game, let's go ahead and have you take us through the last few seconds of the game here. We do have actual footage.
Actual footage of the last, okay, so we're up now. Yeah, so, all right, so they had missed, it was some weird, they missed again. It was another tie-up, another jump ball, but for some reason we got the possession. I still to this day don't know why they gave us possession, because it should have been Colgate's ball. But yeah, they fouled Gilmore, and I am on the other side. Yeah, I'm on this side with the bench. So there's 4 seconds left in the game. I'm looking at the clock. All I did the last minute was look at the clock, and I'm sitting there, I'm trying to figure out how can they score 6 points in 4 seconds. Okay, they could throw a court length pass, he could shoot a three and get fouled and miss the free throw, tap it back out, they shoot another three, and we're going to overtime. This is what's going through my head. They're still going to somehow figure out a way to tie this thing up. Because I'm thinking Gilmore's not going to make two just because he's just not, because that's who we are. That's who we were at the time. So he makes the first. So now I'm thinking, okay, we're not going to get beat by 2 threes. We're only going to go to overtime in 4 seconds. And see, the place is full, and so the kids know. So he misses it, and then they come up court, and I'm thinking the shot's going to go in, and it doesn't. And I just had no. When the clock hit 0 and the kids stormed the floor, and I just was like, for 10 seconds, I had no reaction. I was just like sitting there, and then I started sobbing. Now I know Jeff was sobbing too, but I did not see that. I would not see that at the time. I started sobbing, not like a tear or two. No, I mean, head in my hands, sobbing. Started sobbing.
And it's just such an emotional time, as you can see there with the crowd.
Yeah.
And then there you can even see Jeff Jones and how emotional he was that he was able to lead the Eagles to the NCAA tournament.
Well, because he knew, he understood, and it was because he had been here so long, and he knew the pain we all were feeling. We had all been feeling, because remember we went to the final 3 years in a row. our first 3 years in the league, we went to the final 3 years in a row, and we lost 3 games in a row. And it was just immobilizing how just the despair that you think, because you think we're never going to make the tournament. No matter how good we are, no matter how impressive we are in the regular season, we can't win these 3 games. There's something in us that we can't do it. And so we finally did it, and he knew what it meant to everybody, you know. And I started sobbing because I started thinking about Bob Fraley and Craig Tartaski and Mark Splaver. And those are names that most people don't even remember, but they kept this program alive for decades when nobody cared and nobody was interested in it, and they weren't here to see it. And that's who I was thinking about. That's why I started crying, because I was like, they would have enjoyed this so much, because they put so much into this school. They gave so much of their life, of their professional life, to the athletic department here at AU. And I just started sobbing. and afterwards, I can't even describe the feeling. It was just euphoric. It was euphoric.
The emotion and the passion 10 years ago as the Eagles make their first NCAA tournament berth. We'll come back. We'll have more with DA about the season as a whole that got the Eagles to the big dance.
Welcome to our sleepy little college town. You may have heard of us. Here we stand up for causes as naturally as we sit down for classes. We believe that knowledge, understanding, and discovery will make the world a better place, and that our contributions are only limited by our imaginations. Words, medals, and degrees don't make us who we are. Meaningful change does.
We are American.
And there's nothing we would rather be.
Welcome back inside Bender Arena as we continue our conversation with David Aldridge of the NBA on TNT as we continue looking back at the 10th year anniversary of the Eagles' first berth to the NCAA tournament. And DA, when you look back at that season as a whole, at what point did you start to think, was there a point where you thought, this team's really got it, much more special maybe than other teams in the past? Was there a point specifically?
I was in a hotel room, and I believe it was Chicago. Because I had a game that night. And I remember we were playing Maryland, and of course, we never beat Maryland. And I remember the next day, because I couldn't see the game, I bought a USA Today, and I opened up the paper, and I said, okay, how much did Maryland beat us by? And so I'm looking down, I'm looking for, because it's always, they would list the winning team first. So, and it went in alphabetical order, so I went to the M's. Okay, Maryland. Where's Maryland? Maryland. Oh, maybe it's University of Maryland. No, it's not. And I said, we didn't beat them. Well, I went and looked up and said, American beats Maryland. And that's when I said, holy moly. I didn't say holy moly. This is a family show. And I called JJ immediately, and I said, what happened? Said we just played great. We played great, you know. And so I went back and saw the highlights and saw how Mercer and Carr and Gilmore kind of controlled the game. And the thing, here's the thing. Like, we knew Mercer was good. Mercer came from St. Anthony's. He started almost every game as a freshman. But Carr, nobody had any inkling about Garrison. His first 2 years, he didn't do anything. He didn't play that much. And Gilmore was a really good player, but he was always injured. Okay. He was never on the floor. And you'd see him do these things in games. You go, wow, he never plays. He's always. So that year, he got healthy. He was able to get a full year in, and Garrison just went nuts. And what Jeff told me subsequently is that, you know, he had a heart-to-heart, and Garrison was saying, I'm not happy, and Jeff said, look, I'll make you a deal. If you'll compete on defense, I'll let you take whatever shots you want, but you got to try harder on defense. You got to give me more on defense. And he did. Garrison wasn't a great defensive player, but he stayed in front of his guy, and he made him shoot over him, which is all you can really ask. And then all of a sudden, offensively, you would come to games and you'd say, that kid, he'd pull up from the hash mark, and you go, what are you doing? He made it. He used to go, this is the crazy. Oh, he made it again. His range, I'd never seen a kid with that kind of range. It's amazing. Incredible.
The transformation that happened when he got here to American is that much more amazing. I mean, the fact that he was so unheralded, came the whole way from the state of Washington here to Washington, D.C., and then worked himself into the player that we saw him evolve into.
Well, when he starts playing like that, and you know how good Mercer is already, and Gilmore's healthy now and playing, that's when you start to go,
we have something here.
We got something here.
Yeah.
We got a little something here. This backcourt's pretty good. They're hard to guard because Derek's very quick, and he was so strong. He could get to take contact and get and finish at the rim. And Carr's range is insane. Like you can't really press up on him because he's at the hash mark. He can't do that. So as the season went along, it's not like we had this. They were winning. They weren't winning every game, but they were winning enough that you kind of go, they're going to be top half. And then, again, the last couple of weeks, they got up to second. We had a huge game here with Cross. And it was another tight game. And I remember Nichols. Just the most amazing plays I've seen. Off of a missed shot, I'm pretty sure, but it was down at the far end. Cross misses a shot. Nichols goes over their bench. He grabs the ball and he just throws it towards our basket. And Mercer saw what he was doing and he just took off. And so by the time the ball bounced right into Mercer's hands and he laid it in. It was one of the most amazing plays I've ever seen. And it basically won the game for us. And so we beat Cross, we win, and then all of a sudden we win like 5 or 6 in a row at the end of the regular season. And we wound up being a #1 seed. And it was like this totally unexpected regular season championship.
And then when you go into the postseason, you face Holy Cross again, which at the time was the biggest rival here, Ralph Willard, and it was always a thorn in the Eagles' side.
Absolutely.
And you're able to dispose of the Crusaders in the PL tournament and keep the train rolling.
Keep it going. And again, that game was a game we should have lost because we played so tight. And again, understandably so. Everybody was nervous, and they were an 8 seed, but they were much better than an 8 seed. They had just had a bunch of injuries that year. It was just one of those bad years for them. They just couldn't get their guys together and healthy. But they had a bunch of juniors and seniors, so they knew how to play. And yeah, it was each succeeding game was more and more nerve-wracking for us, because we were getting so close to the goal. And but it was so much fun because people started coming that you hadn't seen in years, that you were coming to games, alums, friends that you hadn't seen in a long time. And I think it's hard for maybe younger people to understand, but I always tell them you will in about 20 years. You'll understand how much your school means to you 20, 25 years later if you had a good experience there because of the friendships you made there and the people that are important to you. And, that's why, again, this school means so much to me, is because most of my friendships I made here. I've met my wife here. All of the people that are important to me, my best friend, I met here. So
we've talked about so many players on this team. We've talked about Derek Mercer. We've talked about Garrison Carr. We've talked about Brian Gilmore. You mentioned Jordan Nichols. Travis Lay was also a huge piece to this puzzle.
Absolutely. He and Jabunda. And they were both, because, we weren't a tall team, but our bigs were all kind of wide, and I don't mean that in a disparaging way. Like Travis, I think was about 6'6", but he was 230. He was a big, strong kid, so he could grab a rebound in traffic. Jabunda could grab a rebound in traffic, even though they weren't. Jabunda was pretty athletic, so we had 2 guys down low that could do all the dirty work. With 3 guys with Jordan, and that allowed Gilmore to be Gilmore. Because Gilmore was really kind of a hybrid, face the basket. He could shoot threes, he could make threes, but then could also put it on the floor and was a terrific passer. So we had a guy who was very difficult to cover, making as a playmaker. That allowed Carr to just spot up, and then Mercer's playing downhill because he gets the pass off of Gilmore's action. So we became a very efficient and good offensive team. I think a lot, Brian had a big role in that, but to your point, the two bigs, Travis being in the middle, taking care of all the rebounds and guarding in the post, that was huge for us.
Yeah, and as we do this interview, we're sitting inside Bender Arena, and coming up pretty soon, we're going to be celebrating the 30th anniversary of Bender Arena.
30 years, wow.
What does this building and where it is on campus and everything it's housed and the history now that it's had because of the years that it's hosted senators and presidents and concerts and you know, secretaries of state, not to mention the basketball games and the memories that this place has really brought forth.
Well, look, when I was here, there was no central place to meet. This became that place, I think, for a lot of people in the school. I don't think it's a coincidence. It's in the middle of campus so that everybody has access to it. It's easy to get to for everyone. And we needed it. We desperately needed an on-campus facility. And again, when this place is filled, it's a pretty cool place to be. And so you want the students to understand that they have a role to play, and if they will come in numbers, and again, you don't have to get on a bus. You just have to roll out of bed and walk out your door and walk about 50 yards. And the ticket, I'm pretty sure, is free. So it's huge. It's huge for the athletes and their families, and it's huge for the alums. And because the kids are loud and they make noise and they're supportive, it's a great place to be. And to your point also, you do a lot more than play basketball in here. I mean, you have a lot of different events in here that are kind of communal and help kind of knit the fabric of the student experience at AU together.
One of the most passionate, if not the most passionate Eagles fan,
I'm one of them.
David Aldridge.
I didn't take up smoking. This is my vice.
Thank you for taking some time out of your busy schedule. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
David Aldridge right there. We'll be back with more on AU Hoop Talk right after this.